Hey guys, Ryan here, Espey's Arm Wrestling Gym. Just got done training, and I'm going to shoot this little video for you because I was asked the question, what are my favorite 3 arm wrestling handles? Like the must-haves. So I'll talk a little bit about what my current 3 are, a little bit about how I use them, different variations, and then things I think every arm wrestling gym should have. Because during this time in the pandemic, arm wrestlers have such a bizarre style of training to the general public. From the outside looking in, we use some pretty weird stuff and some pretty weird techniques. And we should be the ones that still have no problem finding ways to train during all of this, because for the last 20 years, arm wrestlers have been innovating for the things that they've used in their training. So the first handle I want to talk about is a revolving, any kind of revolving handle. So it doesn't matter, you don't want it too large, but this is the 6 centimeter Israel Arm Wrestling Club handle. It is my current favorite. I do this, you can do everything from wrist curls to, and when I say wrist curls, I mean unconventional, fully loaded through the whole range wrist curls, all the way up to like 1-arm deadlifts with this thing. And you can do all kinds of other exercises with it too. If you have a pulley stack, it hooks up to that. I use it for my side pressure training. If you have just weight on the ground, if you can't change the angle on a pulley stack, then the alternative to that is using weight on the ground and changing the angle of your body. And sometimes that means different positions on different benches, but think outside the box to create the appropriate line of pull. Now, just so this isn't 100% commercial for Israel Arm Wrestling Club, I'm going to show you guys a couple of different, or at least one different variation of each of these. This is from a company called Fat Bastard Barbell Company. It's a revolving handle. It's the one I used for years. It's getting a little gummy now, but there's actually, this thing is heavy, like probably 10 pounds. And it's got a bearing inside there. So it actually spins really freely, and probably one of the more difficult handles to hold on to. As you can see, it's a little bit, not as wide as the Israel one, a little bit thinner than the Israel one, but tough to hold on to. There's all kinds of companies out there that are making these handles, but one of the other reasons I like this one is because this metal frame takes a whole bunch of different handles. So if you want to build your collection, it's a much easier way to do it. Current favorites, and this is only in the last few weeks that I've started using these. Rolling conic handle. Now I hook this up to the Krasi pulley, and I use it on there, and I use it on the weight stack that's behind me. And I do 2 variations, of course, high and low. Whoops, like so. Now, I love the way that this thing is feeling, because when you're doing just a straight cupping exercise, it's doing the whole girth of the wrist. I feel like this handle isolates the tendons up here, and then in contrast, the tendons down here when you flip it around. So those are 2 of the 3. Now, the third one that I've only recently started using, and I like it because it's versatility, the wrist bar from Israel Arm Wrestling Club. Now, of course, you can make a rudimentary one of these with a dowel and a strap, but I use this from everything from variations of wrist exercises. I also currently use this one for supination and for pronation. Now, that being said, this is a very simple handle to use, but it's so versatile. It's a regular mainstay in my training. So those are the 3. Now, that being said, every arm wrestling gym should have maybe a little more than 3. I'm going to actually show you a couple of ways to do pronation. So this is the Mazarenko strap. Any strap works though, and you've probably seen other arm wrestlers with YouTube channels training like this for pronation, weight on the floor, weight on the stack. But one thing that we all have laying around, and this thing is still used today, and you probably saw it in a recent video that I shot that was just me doing back pressure static holds, is this towel. And everyone's got an old towel, let's face it. I put a carabiner around it, and I use it for many exercises. Draped over, you could also do supination, pulling it under. You could do different wrist movements with it over the front of your knuckles. You can do straight up hammer curls with this thing. If you can't come up with ways to train at home, you're not being creative enough. This towel right here could probably save your entire quarantine if you can figure out ways to provide resistance to that, whether it's another person, a chair, or whatever. Now, another mainstay of my training, and I've seen other arm wrestlers use this recently, but I invented it, is it's basically a wrist block. And I will do holds with my hands out and then superset it, moving it in. I was once asked where to get this. You get them at a hardware store or your scrap lumber. The only thing you might need to buy is this ring, but you could feed a chain through this thing. There's many, many different ways that you can innovate and stay active and busy and keep training during these unprecedented times that we are going through. Now, this I actually designed based on Engin Terzi years ago, talking about how he was doing chin-ups off of a board like this. And I had designed a chin-up handle, but super heavyweights of the world can probably empathize with me that sometimes chin-ups are not possible. Sometimes the apparatus for a fellow like myself would be very hard to design to the point where I was sure it wasn't going to break. But I do have a lat pull down, I have a pulley stack, and I can hook this up to that and use this. And it's a very simple thing to use. So those are a few other tips, guys, for when you're stuck at home. There's many, many other handles in here that I could show you. I am standing right next to my Krasis pulley, which is available now. You should definitely reach out to Krasimir Kostadinov and ask him for details on getting one of these. If you have an arm wrestling table you can hook it up to. It's a simple system, it works great. And let me know if you guys got any more training questions. Those handles, they've been in my gym and will stay in my gym forever. There are a few other ones that I use, but you asked me for my top 3. Here they are.